Hi, I'm Paul Cleary, Ecosystem Architect at Venafi. Today, we're going to take a look at how fast and easy it is to create an enterprise PKI using Google's new Certificate Authority service, connect that to the Venafi platform, and then enable self-service for application developers and deployment teams, all in just a few minutes. In this example, I'll demonstrate how Venafi Google partnership enables machine identity management for both traditional infrastructure using F5's BigIQ application management platform, as well as a more modern cloud-native infrastructure using JetStack's Cert Manager for Kubernetes. That said, these are really just two examples. The real benefit for organizations using Google's CA service together with Venafi is the vast ecosystem of technology partners and integrations that enable out-of-the-box automation for products and tools that developers are already using every day. All right, let's get started. First thing that I've got to do is create a couple of CAs using Google's Certificate Authority service. So I'll create a root and a subordinate CA. The first will be the root, and I'll use Google's default settings here. Use the enterprise tier, choosing my local region, and just an unconstrained root. We'll fill out the information for the certificate subject. And use Google's recommendation here with a 4096 key size. Okay, so I've just created the root CA, and now we're going to create a subordinate CA, and we can specify that we want to use a root that exists in Google Cloud. So we'll use the one that we just created. We'll leave the defaults here and also select the enterprise tier and the central region. And again, fill out the same certificate subject information for the subordinate CA. As you can see, there's some other options that we could fill out there, but we don't need to do them for the purposes of this demo. Next thing that we need to do is create a service account that will be used to authenticate and use the Google Certificate Services, or CAS, API. So we're going to grant it the 3 CA service roles that are available for a service account. Next, we need to create the key that will be used to authenticate to the Google API. So we'll create that key in the JSON format and then switch back to the Venafi platform to create a credential object that will be used to store that key. So we'll choose a Google credential, give it a descriptive name, and then upload the service account key file. Once we've got the key file and the credential object saved, we can start to create our certificate authority templates that will be used for policies going forward. So I'll choose the Google Cloud CA template object and configure my CA settings. Here I'll just give it another descriptive name and choose the credential object that we just created using the key from Google's API. Once we validate that we have a successful connection, it will automatically pull in the region and the certificate authority IDs. We want to make sure to select the subordinate CA in this case. We'll also create another CA template. So we'll right-click on the templates folder, choose CA template and a Google Cloud CA again. Give this another descriptive name. This time we want to choose a OneDay SSL certificate. So this will be more for the DevOps use cases. Again, I'll choose my credential and revalidate, and it will pull in the region and the certificate authority ID. We again want to make sure that we're using our subordinate CA to issue these certificates, and then change the validity period to 1 day. Once we have our certificate authority templates created, we can apply them to policies that will be used by end users when they request certificates from the Venafi platform. And so this is from the perspective of an info security person. You're configuring the policy that's going to be consumed by your application developers and those who deploy applications using DevOps practices. So the first thing that we need to check on the policy is that it's set to enrollment, which you saw at the top there. And then we need to set the CA template for our F5 applications, the more traditional infrastructure, to that 1-year SSL template. I'll now switch to the F5 BigIQ interface, which is something that an F5 administrator would spend most of their time in as they deploy and architect applications. And so I've done a little bit of setup already by configuring the connection to the Venafi platform. Used my standard API credentials and configured which policy folders BigIQ has access to. And so here I want to create a new certificate and key for my F5 application. And really the only thing that I need here is the common name of the certificate. I'm specifying, as you can see, which policy folder on the Venafi platform that I want to put this certificate into, and that will determine which CA template is used. And then the only other thing that I need to specify here is the private key password, which will encrypt that private key as it's sent back from Venafi to BigIQ. So I'll click save here, and all that's happening in the background. F5 sends the request to Venafi, and then Venafi sends that request in turn to Google CAS, and it's issued and sent back through that process, all in about 5 seconds or so. And as you can see, we have that certificate now in Venafi's inventory. We can see that it was issued through my Google sub-CA and root. And it inherited all of the information that we specified when we configured the CA. And so now if we go back and actually check the issued certificates for this certificate authority, we'll see that we have the F5 app certificate that we just created, and it is good for 1 year. Next, we'll switch back to the Venafi platform and configure our Kubernetes applications policy folder to use the OneDay SSL template that we configured earlier. The first thing, though, we do need to make sure that it's set to enrollment so that the Venafi platform can reach out to Google and fulfill the certificate request. So we'll choose the OneDay SSL CA template and save the policy. Then we'll switch over to a Kubernetes cluster that I've got configured already with Jetstack's Cert Manager running. And I'll show first a certificate issuer resource that Cert Manager enables. And so I've got the zone specified here, the API endpoint that we'll use for the Venafi platform, and the secret that holds the authentication credentials to that API. I'll show my actual certificate request here. And again, the only thing that I'm specifying here is the common name. And so I'll use kubectl to apply that certificate YAML file, and we'll see the actual certificate come back in really, again, about that 4 to 5 seconds. There we see the secret has been created, and now the certificate has actually already made its way back to Cert Manager. We can describe it a little bit and see our common name that we specified earlier and get a little bit of the process, the logs for this certificate object. And so at this point, this certificate can be used really for any purpose within Kubernetes, for your ingress or your workloads or anything of that sort. And so I'll switch back to the Venafi platform now and refresh our Kubernetes applications folder, and we see that certificate object has been created in Venafi. The info security team now has visibility into the DevOps process, and we see this is a true OneDay certificate. If I refresh Google's issued certificates, we'll see that Cert Manager and Venafi have created that certificate inside Google CA, and it is a 1-day validity period. It has our domains that we've specified, and that's it. We've got a certificate in use at F5 in a traditional infrastructure and one on DevOps infrastructure as well.